Okay, here we are back once again, the quantum mechanics,
Yes, sir.
doing quantum maintenance, reality mechs, getting back to the reality maintenance. And I want to get into the perception of opposites and contradictions and how we manipulate that information in our everyday lives to maintain our existence.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
because dealing with opposites, you
Mhm.
have to know the opposite of something to perceive it. Just like you
Okay.
can, love than hate, good than evil. Because with
Right.
one without the other, there's no existence.
Okay.
So,
So let's say this first, though. So
hmm
just like we're saying, what is an opposite, right? What
right.
is an opposite, right? Because people be like, oh, that's the opposite. But sometimes you find out what you think the opposite of something is not the opposite of it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
hmm
like people say, what's the opposite of love? And people will say hate, but the opposite of love is not hate. You see what I'm saying? Because the opposite of love would be without love. It would be no love because hate is a derivative of love. You get what I'm saying? It's not the opposite of it. You see what I'm
That's
saying?
that's that's the first time I've heard that. I haven't really pondered something not being. Yeah, that's the first time I heard
You
that.
get what I'm saying? Because
hmm
because love is what? Love is hate is you in an emotional state, right? Love is everything. People say love is an emotion, but love is even beyond emotion. You see
Well,
what
yeah, you got like love as a fire, or love as an intensity, or like a
right,
cosmic love that doesn't see you as a romantic,
right, exactly,
but
exactly.
then like a
Because
protective type of love, a
right,
protective
because
love.
that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Because you say when people say that they're saying like, love, hate as the opposite of love based on how we feel things here on this planet or how we feel things in relation to things we want or things we see. But
Mhm.
the love that permeates the universe, what is the opposite? Ain't no, there can't be a hate to that because
Mhm.
this is not an emotionally charged thing. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
This is life. This is the abundance. This is everything turning over itself. You get what I'm saying? Everything creating itself. Or if you say hate is the opposite of love, it can't be because hate is a creation. You can make more hate. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So hate is a form of love. It's the whatever
That's
love
just. I
is.
think. I think we're getting off into the semantics of the
No,
words.
but that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I'm saying that's what I'm getting into when people say what is the opposite of something. Like, but you have to
Mhm.
actually have the opposite of it. You get
Right.
what I'm
Okay.
saying? As opposed to just a general opposite. Like that's what I say. People say
Right.
hate love, but love is creation. Love is continuing. Hate can continue too, so it can't be the opposite of love. It would have to be something that stops the creation. You see what
But
I'm saying?
like in a scenario, you're gonna have a protagonist and an antagonist.
Right. Right.
hmm
Exactly. Exactly. Those are
hmm
opposites. Those are opposites.
The hero and the
Exactly.
villain. Mm.
Exactly. Those are opposites. You get what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying?
So
So
delving into the hero and the villain, if those is opposites, so with the hero is idealistic, where the villain is pragmatic,
right, right.
right? The
Those are
villain,
opposites. Right.
right. The hero is not as mutable as the villain. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right.
hmm
The hero got a script, maybe, that he got
Right.
to stick
Right.
to. You know what I mean? But the villain can always manipulate the reality because he's always ever present. He's in the moment. The
The
hero's got
villain
a script.
manipulates the reality because he's leveraging his life lessons.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? He
right,
even has some life lessons that
right,
he can leverage and put towards
right,
put towards his
right,
creation, manifestation of the world around him. He
right,
has some advanced knowledge. That's what that is. That's that
right,
quantum
right,
subtle knowledge moving forward
right,
into a reality that you creating based on your observations.
right, right. The hero got to stick to the script.
Right. Or what he thinks the script is.
Right,
He
right. He
thinks the
got to
script
stick
should
to
be,
it.
everything is all hunky dory and everything is perfect. but
Right.
the villain probably
Right.
sees it as like, nah, this shit is it's messed up out here. You know what I mean? It's like he
Right.
sees the harsh realities of things, whereas the hero wants things to be a certain way.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? The hero sees what he wants to see. The villain sees what it is.
There it is.
You know, to a
Right.
certain degree. Mm-hmm.
To a
It's all about
big,
observations. It's all
right.
about observations
It's a
and
big degree. A
mm-hmm.
big degree. You know what I'm saying? So you think, somebody saying, the right or wrong space, right? This is right and this is wrong. So
I don't. Yeah. I think you got to create the space for right and wrong or whatever you call,
right,
because
right,
society determines
right.
what's right and wrong based on how we all agree to operate
That's
within the
exactly
society.
what I was about to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
the hero will say it's right or wrong because the hero is coming from the societal norm. He's coming from
Mm-hmm.
this is
He's marketing propaganda, to be honest.
right,
In
right,
some situations, that's why a lot of times the hero can end up becoming the villain,
right,
because whenever you constantly trying to fit into the mold, and that's not what it is, you're going against the grain. You go in the opposite direction of where society is going or where things are going.
right,
Things are going into ever expanding chaos to a degree, and not constricting themselves down into something defined. The hero is only dealing in a defined world, a clearly defined world, and when those parameters aren't met no more, then the hero goes into effect.
right, right. When those and
He's
like
immutable. He's
right,
immutable, whereas the villain is mutable or
right,
capable or subject to change.
right.
And
Subject
whereas if mhm.
fire, subject to change. He's
Yeah.
subject to change. You get what I'm saying? That's
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
fire because, like you're saying, if you look at a lot of these movies or a lot of these things that we see TV shows and stuff like that. I'm watching the movie and you see the villain is sitting there and he burn up all the money. And you say, well, how can he burn up the money? I thought that's what he want. No, for him, what is the money? What is it? It means nothing.
Mhm.
Because if I want food, I can go get it. I can go take it. If I want this, I can go. I can have that. I can have the car I want. What would I need the money for? I can go get it. I can go and acquire this through means that I've fostered, means that I have worked on, means that I have. You understand what I'm saying? I got ability.
He's
I got
leveraging his life lessons.
right, right.
Mhm.
I have ability that will procure me this. Like
Right.
what do you mean? What do I need the money for? What would I need it for? Like
Hmm. He's
you need
ultimately mutable,
right,
because when you're mutable, you're able to transition and adapt effortlessly, and that's a natural state of being. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So when you're able to adapt and be creative and create new futures through your desires, so he can just follow his desires. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Because that's all. That's
right,
you got. You have a will to act, a desire to act, a belief in your actions. I think that's a part of a whole person's being. You know what I mean? Because your desires push you to believe, and belief strengthens your ability to do things, or the fact that you've done something. If you believe in what you're doing, it gives strength to your intentions,
there
right?
it is. There
So
it
he
is.
the villain is operating off a straight up in desire, and that's a fire and desire, and that pushes him to
Right.
he
Look,
it's a
so
intellectual, though. He's being intellectual, emotional,
right.
that's what desire is. It's a strong
Look,
will of mm-hmm,
right there when you said it strengthens your belief,
mm-hmm.
right? So
Belief strengthens your intentions.
right, right,
You
right.
believe in what you're
So,
doing, then your intentions are strengthened by that belief. You're like, I
right,
know I'm doing this. You know what I'm saying?
right, right. So now
Mm-hmm.
look at this. Look at this. When somebody goes to jail, they're being convicted, right,
Mm-hmm.
for their actions. But like you saying, if my belief is reinforced by my intentions, right, that's
Mm-hmm.
my conviction.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the hero has a conviction, and the villain is just as convicted. right?
Right. And
Because
then the conviction comes down to perception.
right,
You
that's
know what I mean?
exactly where I'm going with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because now to the hero's perception, this guy is a criminal, so he's being convicted by the social norm. He's being convicted by the social dichotomy, the societal, right? That's his conviction. But his conviction is his belief is reinforced by his intention. He's convicted. So when people say, ask you things, you say, I'm convinced, meaning I'm
Right.
convicted.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? I'm going to carry out this action through my belief.
Or your understandings of shit, or
Right,
your
right,
information that you have.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right, right.
And then how do you
Exactly.
gain info? How do you gain information? You got to go through experiences,
There it is.
and then those experiences could also create a momentum. Momentum has a lot to do with creativity and manifestation, and coming into your own. When you gaining information and you're having these experiences, then you don't go backwards, you go forward, and that creates momentum. And in
Right.
these experiences, you start breaking thresholds, you start having these breakthroughs, and in order to make sure that your breakthroughs are what you want them to be, you have to go through a form of meditation
Mm-hmm.
or rehearsal, or what I can
Refine.
say, maybe a form of time travel, to put
Right.
yourself in these positions earlier, to
Right.
where you aren't met with that good, bad, hero, villain dichotomy that you're gonna,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You wanna be,
Right.
it's like Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So rehearse what can go wrong, and then you're prepared on all accords. It's
Right.
it's like that's your responsibility, really.
Right.
Because I
Right.
think
So
we were talking earlier today, and you mentioned something about somebody who had plans to do something, but then they changed their plans. But because they changed their plan, that doesn't change their responsibilities.
right. Right.
And that,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So like
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, when you bring it to that level of saying the rehearsal,
Right.
right?
Repetition. Mm-hmm.
Right. Remember when you was a kid, or how kids are, or how people are, it was like, oh, 10, he got the ball, 3, 2, 1, right? And you shoot the ball.
Right.
And bzz, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you was to intentionally do that so many times, so many times, so many times, so many times, that's what we was doing when we was doing it.
Yeah.
It was
Definitely.
putting yourself
Mm-hmm.
in the most high pressure moment, right?
Right.
You a kid, you just doing it, but you
And
don't
then you improvising while you're doing it. You dribbling
right,
to the right, you dribbling to the left.
right,
You
right,
improvising to try to get your most desired result, which is
right,
the basket at the end.
right.
Mm-hmm.
How many different motions did you go through, right? You said, oh,
Mm-hmm.
he spins to the left. He spin you you don't even understand how powerful that was for you, because like you say, the whole scenario was was
Mm-hmm.
was created through you. There
Yeah.
was nobody in front of you. There was nobody. You get what I'm saying? So you
Mm-hmm.
gotta rehearse the greatest possible outcome and the worst outcome at the same
Yeah.
time, simultaneously. So if you were to be in that situation, you've put yourself there so many times that now
Mm-hmm.
it's normal, right?
Yeah. It's creation, it's manifestation. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? That's what you're doing.
right, right,
You're
right,
manifesting the reality that you're visualizing. You're time traveling. You might be
right,
sitting right there dribbling the ball, but in your mind, you're visualizing yourself going through the motions, manifesting the action of making the basket, being the star of the team, describing yourself. And that's important too. Whenever you're having these ideas in your mind and you're thinking metaphorically and you're visualizing, you have to use adjectives,
right,
descriptive words. The words help, uh, you know, elucidate what you're talking about. It helps bring it into a clear, crisp vision. And the more adjectives and the more descriptive words you can use to bring to life what you're thinking about, that's going to help, manifest what it is that you want in
right.
those times of time travel. Because that's what synchronicity is. You're two places at one time. You got the bird's eye view. That's another one of those idioms,
Right,
the
right,
bird's eye view, because you can see past, present, and future when you have the bird's eye view. So that means you know the known, the knowable, and the unknowable. All those
right.
things are concurrent at the same time. That's that omnipresence.
Exactly. Exactly. So just like you saying that right there, you become omnipresent. You know the known and the unknowable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
The known, the knowable, and the unknowable. Mm-hmm.
right. So
Right.
let's say, like you saying, you
Well, the known, I can tell you exactly what the known is. The known consists of all the things we have already learned and know to be true and factual.
okay,
Right? The unknown is going to consist of all the experience, knowledge, and skills that are available to us in this physical realm, which we have not yet come to learn, understand, or utilize. The unknowable consists of all the cosmic concepts and divine truths that can never be understood or explained by the logical mind, right? So dealing with those three factors of a bird's eye view, then the unknowable will be the quantum. It will be those subtle mechanisms that we utilize in order to navigate the world that we're dealing with.
okay.
You dig what I'm saying?
I dig what you're saying. So now I'm gonna give it a small reference. So you know, um, let's do something general. You know, you know how to to do your workout, right?
Right.
You know, whatever it is, you're a boxer, you do karate, whatever. You know to do your workout.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it, you're doing it. Techniques are what you know in practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the same, right? You saying, okay, you saying punch, step back, move left, move right? Because that's the known and the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So wait a minute, let me say these again. You say the known,
Right.
the next one
The
is
known, the unknown, and the unknowable.
right. Okay, so the unknown is what you're doing, right? You
Mm-hmm.
it's unknown how this
Well,
will
we can say it like this: the past, the present, and the future.
right,
You know,
right,
the future is knowable.
right, right,
The past is what's known,
right.
and the present is unknowable.
Okay. So the past is
It's what you
known.
know. It's
It's
what's
what you know.
known. It
So
consists of all things that you already know to be
okay,
facts, to be understood. It's what
right.
you can use in the
So
application.
that's what I was about to say. So this
Mm-hmm.
is the knowledge that I already possess, right?
Mm-hmm.
I possess the knowledge of the jab, right? I'm jabbing, bow,
Right.
bow, bow. But I learned the jab from so many people, from blah blah blah, trainers, whatever, right? I'm using it,
Mm-hmm.
using it,
The
right?
application of the jab would be unknowable
That's
because it's a part of your tool bag. The future,
right, right,
what is
right,
knowable is that you want to win the fight.
right,
What is
right,
known is that you train like a mug for the fight.
right,
What is unknowable is how you're gonna win the fight.
right.
That's unknowable. That's where
That's
you're actually in the
exactly
moment of applying your skill set
that's
and
exactly where I was going with it, because
Mhm.
you already know it, because it's the information and knowledge that you obtain.
Yeah.
It's
That comes
unknown,
now you're dealing with projection.
right,
Now you're projecting yourself in these scenarios. And I
right,
remember one time you were talking about how you talk to your employees
right,
and in the long story short, proper projection is personal protection. So when
right,
you see yourself in the right light, in the
right,
right scenarios, or
right,
doing the right things, if you're actually in the action of, because thoughts are worthless, actions are way more, So if
right,
you have the proper projection, then that creates personal protection because you perceive the world how they perceive you, and you're putting yourself in the right light. So that's how that
right,
fighter is going to have the bird's eye view, past,
right,
present, and future.
right. And like you were saying with that, when you said how I was talking to my guys, that's what I tell them. I said,
He said something about self-love.
yeah,
He
safety
said,
is self-love,
yeah. I was like, oh,
right?
that's a good
Right.
one.
So if you're doing
Mhm.
something, knowledge is self-love. You
Yeah,
understand
dig it.
me?
Hmm.
So I'm just using it in that instance, right?
Hmm.
I'm saying, well, if you're a professional driver, safe professional driving is safe driving, and safety is self-love. So, and you'll say, well, how does that relate? Well, I'm putting it in a sense where if I love myself, I would do things to protect myself. So me
Mm-hmm.
protecting myself by default is protecting you.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
check my vehicle, I'm gonna check the tires, I'm gonna check, you understand me? I'm gonna make sure my seatbelt, everything. So I'm protecting myself, but in sense, I'm protecting those around me as well. My vehicle is not
Mm-hmm.
gonna break down. This is not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm making sure
Mm-hmm.
my mind is clear. I'm making sure my actions is clear. I'm making sure you get what I'm saying. I'm making sure everything to protect me is in place. So by
Mm-hmm.
default, I'm protecting you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm driving the speed limit. I'm paying attention. I don't got my phone in my hand. I don't. You understand what I'm saying? So
Right, right.
by default, my love for myself is being extended to you. You see what I'm saying?
And
But
that
like you
that
said,
falls in line
so
with
I
perception.
project that onto you.
Mm-hmm. If you look at perception and projection as two opposing forces or two forces, not opposing,
Mhm.
perception is a process or a state of being aware of something.
Right,
The process of perceiving something with the senses,
right.
using observation, mental images, concepts, consciousness. You
Hmm.
become aware of the elements of the environment through the physical sensation. The physical sensation is interpreted in light of the experience. And that's what a perception is. In the light of the experience, what your senses tell you that what that to be, right? And that's going to give you a state of mind or a state of being. And then you can project that. You can project that mental idea or that mental ideology onto other minds,
Right.
onto the world around you.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So once I say that I'm going to be safe and I love myself, now I'm projecting my safety and my love onto you. So
Mhm.
in that scenario, if I'm out, I love everybody around me.
Right.
Right? I'm a beacon of love. I'm just love on the highway.
Yeah, you're a metaphor for love.
Right.
But
Right.
you have no opposite though. What's the opposite of love? You know what I'm saying? A car
Exactly.
wreck.
What my man say, love on the run.
A
You
car wreck.
understand me? Right. That in that sentence, that would be the opposite of it, right?
Right, right, yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
exactly. So how we were saying earlier, that would be the opposite of my love right there. That's the opposite of my love, but that's not hate. I didn't get it. I didn't get in the wreck out of maliciousness,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Because it wasn't hate that caused the wreck. You get what I'm saying? It was an accident. Tire popped. You understand
Right,
me?
right.
You get what I'm saying? But that
It was
person,
unknowable.
right,
Yeah, that was
right,
unknowable. But
right,
yeah, but
right,
that's because you were present in the moment. Like when, and then again with perception, it's talking about senses.
right,
So if that's unknowable, then you need to increase the senses that you have in which to process that information to make it knowable.
right,
You can't know that you're going to get into an accident, but you can know that this is a high traffic intersection and there are a lot of accidents here. So
right.
I can file that away as a tool or a sense. You have to establish new senses. And when I was looking up perception, I fell down that little rabbit hole of senses. I was like, okay, so how many senses do we have? And you got the initial senses, the physical senses, sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. But
Mm,
when you delve a little deeper, you start realizing that there's more senses that are being acknowledged by science and people who are of this ilk that talk about this. So
mhm.
the additional senses I came across were balance, motion, temperature, chemical, pressure, thirst, hunger,
Right,
magnetic reception,
right.
time, intuition. Now think about all those other senses that could be used, or maybe we don't realize that we're using them, and we don't realize that we're processing this information as we're going through it, because you're not paying attention to it.
Hmm.
Attention is an extension of your mental energy,
Right,
right?
right,
And whatever you pay attention to is what's going to become relevant. That creates a reflection.
right,
That creates something that you reflect on and you're into. And then I guess that will create an afterthought. After you reflect on something, you have an afterthought about it.
right.
But nevertheless, the more senses that you're able to utilize and apply, the more improvisational you can be.
Mm,
And improvisation is power, right? Improvisation is imaginative survival.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
it's being
Right.
able to, it's being, improvisation is belief.
There it
It's a,
is.
it's a form of power. Belief is power. Improvisation is empowering. So improvisation is a form of belief. You believe you can play this character, or you believe you can accomplish this goal. Your intention is being applied because you're paying attention. You know, intention is applied attention.
Right. Right. So, like you was just saying, with all of the senses, right?
Right, right, right.
And how you use those senses
Mm-hmm.
improve. We're using improve as in the same as improv, but you're using your senses to improve your power. If your power is already creative thinking, your power is already improv, your improv ability. So
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm.
you can say you're doing something, then you smell something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you it's a dark room, you can't see, you're trying to strike a match, or you trying to you're trying to light a fire or whatever. You got a stick, you rubbing the sticks together, how they do it, you know. And now you rubbing this together, you smell fuel, but it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
now you
It's dark, but you're learning stuff along the way, and you're defining what you're learning. You're like, I smell something. What is that smell? It's
right,
fuel. So now
right,
you've defined what that is. You're
right,
defining your world through alternative senses.
right, right. So you saying now should I do this? I need
Mm-hmm.
light, but there's also this probability that there could be fuel in here.
Yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
now, but you need to see, right? So now you saying, okay, now let me not use, I use smell to already put me in a heightened sense of awareness. So now, because I can't see, now let me start touching and feeling and seeing through my perception what's going
Right.
on around me. You
Mm-hmm.
understand me? To put myself
Mm-hmm.
in a better situation. This is not a grand improvement, but this is an improvement in my darkness right now.
Right. You thinking about how can I assess my environment.
Right,
You're
right.
learning how to apply your knowledge to assess your environment, and
And
you,
create
yeah. Mm-hmm.
a outcome that would be sufficient to my existence. Because if I just keep striking this, I could possibly blow up.
Right.
Right? But I don't know. It might just be a tiki torch.
Yeah,
Right.
Tiki Torch will light your ass up too, though.
But I'm just saying, I don't know what the fuel is coming from. I don't know where it is. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
I have to put myself in a situation to where I can navigate this situation, and
Yeah,
also
you're gonna have to make a hypothesis about what the
right,
situation is, and then you're gonna have to test that hypothesis.
right.
You're gonna have to apply scientific method to what you know, and
Like
that's
you
what
said, but and I'm just using that as in the dark, I'm being empowering. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just in the dark and I can't function now. I'm in the dark. Oh, I'm just here. I just have to wait till somebody opens the door, till somebody comes and get me. But like you
Mm-hmm.
said, now I'm using my senses to give myself power.
Yeah, because you're evaluating the situation.
Right,
Evaluating, that means you're placing a value on what's going on. You're
right,
you're, you're making judgments.
right. I'm
You know.
empowering myself. Just
Mm-hmm.
just something as simple as being able to see.
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we said before, enlightenment. I'm just giving myself the ability to see and perceive.
Right.
Right, that's an alternate perception, because now I'm in the dark and I'm completely as far as this
But
scenario
can
is
you
concerned,
perceive something that you don't know?
but this is what I'm saying, at this
Mhm.
point I'm completely helpless.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So through my senses I'm giving myself a little bit of power. Now
Right.
adding
You're
my
using the proper
senses,
tools.
right, now adding my senses plus my ability of knowing what these things, I'm smelling these things, I'm touching these things, you get what I'm saying? I'm giving my internal processors the ability to now formulate where I'm at.
Right. So let's take it to this point. How can you exercise those senses, those processes that you're talking about? What skills can we use to help sharpen those? And that's something that I was thinking about too. And I
Okay.
was like, how can I use these skills to help sharpen it? And I was reading in this book, and it was talking about how they had a classroom, and all the students would come into the classroom, and they would sit around in a circle, and they would name randomly things that they saw in the classroom.
Okay.
And in the process of doing that, they would notice a difference in their senses. They would realize that the room around them became more clear and crisp. The colors that were on objects became more vivid because they were trying to assess what was being described to them by someone else. And you can do the same thing yourself. You know, you can go, but not necessarily because you can't get out of your own head. But you can be deceived by someone else that's participating in the same activity where you can call things what they aren't, and then you have to figure out what that is within a relatively fast amount of time. These are senses that you have to use and apply to the world around you, and that could be one way to sharpen how you view things, you know, on a creative side.
Well, like you said before, to be creative, you have to already have a certain amount of, when you say intellect, you're not saying intellect based on reading books. You got to have a certain level of how to view things.
Right. And you got to be mutable. You got to be adaptive. That's what mutability is. I think that's like a really good attribute, to be mutable, you know, and
Right.
not so rigid. You know how the hero is immutable because, hey, things got to be right. You can't do this, you can't do that. But sometimes the villain will see that there are necessary evils, you
Right.
know, because, you know, when is it bad and when is it good? Because it's going to be considered one of the two. You might not call it bad or good, whatever language you speak, because it's not even about what word you call it. It's about what feeling is evoked in you when you see it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
That's what happens. So it's like that's why thirst can be a sense, because thirst, you can't, it's not really something that you would just necessarily call it, but it is a sensation that comes upon you and that drives you to do something or not do something, you know?
Okay. Okay.
Because
Okay.
they're like thirst, temperature, chemical. Like, how is chemical a sense? Well, we have interactions in our bodies that we don't necessarily know how these functions are with the cell. The cells are functioning by allowing certain chemicals in, certain chemicals out. These are senses that are used and tools that are used inside our bodies that are a part of us, but we have no awareness of. It's not relevant to us, you know? If you want to really learn something and you want to know how something works and what something is and the value of something, you have to learn the small components of it. You know, if it means enough to you to understand it, then you can see the value in anything. I was taking a test a little earlier, and it was asking me about multimeters and how to read them and how to apply this and that. And at the time, I was a little taken aback because it wasn't relevant to me. But if I wanted to pass this test, then I needed to make it relevant to me. So I had to do a little research and do a little cross reference and do some reviewing to increase my evaluation of the material and give it more value and make it valuable to me.
Right. So,
Every
so,
mhm.
so in that sense, not even in that sense, let's do this. So by that, we say relevance and perception work hand in hand.
Mhm.
Because if it's not relevant to me, then I can't perceive or I can't change the perception of what's going on around me because I've determined that it's not relevant.
Mhm.
Right. So when people be like, oh, you got to change your perception, you got to change the way you see things. One way to
Mhm.
activate your perception is to define the relevance.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So people
Mhm.
say, well, oh, because we get a lot of things, which is why we doing this, which is why we talking right now, is to say, people say all the time, you get on the internet, so you get on this stuff, and there's people telling you, oh, well, you gotta change your perception. You gotta change your perception. But so how do I do that? Well, perception and relevance are similar. They work hand
Mhm.
in hand. They are twins in the sense that when you want to change the way you viewing and seeing things, because once I make it relevant to me, now I can perceive it differently.
Right.
But if it's not relevant to me, I can only see it the way it is. I can only see it the way I'm approaching it because it's not relevant to me. That's
Right.
why I see it this way. You see what I'm saying? That's why
It's like having a whole, it's like being good at trivia questions
right.
and just like a bunch of random stuff, it's like, well, what is that can't do nothing for anyone just because you know how much an airplane weighs, or,
Right, right.
but it's applicable. It's like a MacGyver type of thing again,
Right.
you gotta have enough, in reserves to be able to tap into that.
This is what I'm saying. So people say, well, how do you change your perception? How do you change it is by making enough things relevant to you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But we spend a lot of our time making things irrelevant to me.
Blocking it off. We define our world so much. And when you define something, you limit it. We start labeling our world. We start becoming the hero in our world.
Right.
Everything is so defined. And then now you become the regulator of that definition. You're like, well, it has to be like this. And in one turn, the hero is like, yes, it's the hero. He's saving us. He's keeping us flowing. But at the same time, he's stifling or limiting, he or she is stifling or limiting the expression of the chaos. The chaos brings all the new stuff. The villain, you know, man, because the villain isn't idealistic. He's dealing with what's right in front of him, what's actually here, and how can I make the most out of this? Whereas the hero is trying to project. He's dealing with projection of a different caliber.
Right.
So he wants everything to be hunky dory.
So that's what I'm saying. So when we see it like that, the villain is moving because he makes so much relevant to him. The only thing relevant to the hero is his idea, his
the illusion.
Right. The only thing that's relevant to him is the way he do this thing he's trying to uphold, this thing he's trying to maintain, this thing he's trying to
the not real illusion of a perfect world, or
right. Just the fraction, like you said, somebody saying Batman is saying Gotham is this place, and every villain is like, no, it's not. It's if you look at it like that, Batman goes to each one of these villains' hideout, and it's a different vision.
Right.
He has one vision, but all of these villains got various visions because Mr. Freeze, the ice is relevant to him. For whatever reason, his wife is whatever sick, so he froze her. So now ice is super relevant to him.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
He broke that threshold.
Right. So
when you break thresholds, you are assuming various outcomes or various reactions.
Right.
That's what, you know what I'm saying? When you break through something, you don't know what's on the other side. You have to push yourself past these limits to understand and create that understanding. And then when you have understanding, then you birth ideas.
Look, so that's what I'm saying. So people say, oh, well, you get rich, you how you doing this, how you doing that? Well, I made getting money relevant to me. You're only saying you want it.
Exactly.
You haven't made it.
He a copy. He's a copy. He's not real knowledge.
Right.
Real knowledge knows what it takes to get it.
Right.
And a copy is just gonna talk about it,
Right. You haven't made it. Oh, you're saying, oh well, I need this, I need that. But if that's the case, everybody needs it.
Yeah.
How is it relevant to you?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Me and my lady was
Yeah, go ahead.
Me and my lady was watching this show, and it was like a lose fat show, a lose weight show. Right. And it was an interesting premise because it came from the standpoint where the physical trainer is gonna meet the person, right? And then the physical trainer is gonna put on the same amount of weight and come back in 4 months and lose the weight together with the person. I was like, oh, this is interesting, Right. And it really did something for me because it revealed to me after watching the show. All right, fast forward to the end. 4 months past, dude was gorging himself on all type of deliciousness. He eating fried this, ice cream that. He just really blew it up, and he gained 60 pounds. So
Right.
come back, he meets up with the counterpart, the person, and the person is like, oh, wow, you really did gain the weight. So the dude's like, all right, I'm finna lose 60 pounds. I'm the personal trainer. I'm choosing to lose 60 pounds. The other person wanted to lose 85. Fast forward, they got 4 months to do it. Come 4 months, even 2 weeks before 4 months, the personal trainer dropped the weight. I'm right here with you. We going to training every day. I'm your trainer, right? The
Right.
person that was trying to lose the 85 pounds didn't quite make it. All right. Now I'm trying to say something here. The person that didn't quite make it, of course, made leaps and bounds, looks a lot healthier, looks a lot better. You know, you could argue that it was a success, but at the same time, it just shows you that the people that's gonna do the job, they're gonna always do the job. They're gonna
Right.
always be that one.
Right.
If you took all the money from all the millionaires in the world and spread it all over the world evenly, at the end of a year, certain people are gonna end up with that same money, just like he was gonna lose that weight again,
Right.
because he was already that type of person. He was
Right.
already a person that was on it. So if you challenge him with that, he's gonna accomplish that challenge, he or
Right.
she.
This is what I
So
was
if
about.
you,
This is what I'm about
it's
to say
relevant
about
to
that.
him and not relevant to that person.
Right. This is exactly what I'm about to say. So you, a person makes having money important to them. But the person that's living good says it's not about the money, it's about the living good. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of his actions will be in pursuit of living good. So you like, well, how are you making this money? I'm trying to make money. Well, you're just making money relevant to you. If that's the case, you can go work at McDonald's. You're like, well, I'm not gonna make $1 million at McDonald's because the only thing relevant to you is the money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? That's the only
Right.
thing relevant to you. Me, the person who's saying this to you is saying, well, I want this, and this. So this person can go get with people who can get him the car that he wants. He go meet people who can get him the type of house. So that's what I'm saying. You thinking, oh, well, it's the lifestyle, it's the money, it's the money, it's the money. Okay, it could be, or it could
Mm-hmm.
be all of the things that come along with it. So, and I'm just using money because then that same person, if everything fell apart, would be like, okay, well, I'm gonna just go down and live, be a bum on the beach. That's a good living. And then so now you meet him at the beach and he living, you like, man, listen, how are you doing? He said, because you, only thing relevant to you is the money. Me living good is relevant to me. So no matter how it
Exactly.
plays out, I'm going to seek the best life in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're only seeking the one facet that you believe provides that. But if I'm looking for a good life, I'm on the beach. I'm on the beach somewhere. I'm eating fresh out the tree. I'm fishing for everything. So this person don't got no money, but they got the health and they living the life they want to live.
Right.
So, but then you
Mm-hmm.
take that same, like you said, just like you said, you take that same person and then you put them in the city, and you'll say, well, if that's the case, I need to get a job that pays a lot. I need to get this. I need to get that. But you're only thinking of one facet of the whole scenario. So, like you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
this guy who's doing this working out, he already knows the everything about it. Well, if I want to look this way, I need to do this. If I want to look that way, I need to do that. If I want to do this, if I want to do this, I want to do this. But if you only make one thing of your quote unquote success or your quote unquote ideal life or ideal, if only one thing is powering that, then you can't see all the other pieces that come together to make the whole thing what it is.
Right. Because whereas the other person was probably just showing up for the training, the trainer was probably eating differently,
Right,
working out after the
right,
fact,
right,
getting up a
right,
little bit earlier,
right,
starting a little bit earlier,
right.
not just doing the bare
Right.
minimum,
He
not
knows
just doing the surface.
he knows everything that come along with it. So it's like, okay, well, I gotta stretch. I gotta do this. Well, you know what? I need to go to bed earlier. You get what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I need to get more sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this comes along with it, and you're just looking at the weights.
Yeah, he's not, the one person is looking at the mechanisms of how to get there, and the other
Right,
person is just looking at there.
right,
And a lot of people just go on the definitions that they've been given. We talked about
right,
this last time
right,
about how
right,
people just deal with the copy of the information and don't know how the mechanisms work inside of it.
Right,
You know,
right,
buying fake Rolexes, and this one's the real one. You
right,
know, the only difference is the internal mechanisms.
right, right,
They both Rolexes. You can fool once, fool twice, but if you get somebody that actually opens up that watch and has knowledge of how this thing really is supposed to go, how it's supposed to
they're
move, the
going to be
sounds it's
looking
supposed to
for.
make.
They're going to be looking for the craftsmanship of it.
Right, right. The copy
See,
versus the real.
right,
That's an investor versus a consumer.
right,
One
right,
person gets paid on Friday and he's like, how can I consume this money? I need to eat. He go buy him some chicken. He go buy him some food. The other person gets paid on Friday and he's like, how can I need to invest this money because I want to eat. So he's going to go buy a whole chicken. He's not going to buy some already cut up, you know? It's just
right,
the
right,
difference in those two.
right,
One
right,
requires a different amount of work or a different type of workload, and the other one requires another type of workload.
right.
It's just
Like you said, so one is looking at the check as a tool, and the other one is looking at the check as the result.
right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm
And
looking
that's why, yeah,
yeah,
difference
go
between
ahead.
an employee and an entrepreneur.
Right, right. And so that's the main thing you have to look at when you're talking about changing your perception is you first have to find the relevancy of all of this. See, people be like, well,
You create futures through desire.
right. So now I got to make sure that I have all of the information, all of it. And if I don't have all of it, at least the majority of it.
Right. You create your future and different realities through your desires. And you can fantasize and desire about something until you get up a strong enough will to go pursue it. And
Right.
then you venture out and then you make it happen. And then
Right.
you have those breakthroughs, you break through those thresholds. And
Right.
then it's just the outset or a beginning of whatever it is.
Just
And
like
you have to have a strong burning desire in order to flex your will and pursue it.
right, and just like they have a lot of those, like people make those memes or those things, and it'll say, you know, whatever, right? Champions, and this is what champions do, and this is what winners do. You know, it said they said they have those things that say all of this stuff, right? And and so you're understanding that one of these people made everything about the whole sport relevant to them. You saying, okay, I just want to shoot threes like Steph Curry. Well, you could never do it because he made everything about this part of the game, he made it relevant to him. You just want to make the shot. You see what I'm saying? So once you make your desire known, you say, well, how do I do this? Then you say, don't be a good instance, right? Be a good completion, meaning everything about this thing, you need to be good at it.
Right, or familiar with it.
Right. You need to be good at every part of this scenario, not just one part, but all parts that is consumed by this.
Yeah, and a meme is short for memetics. A meme is short for memetics. Memetics is like an idea, behavior. It's a simulation of whatever it is representing, whatever it's representing, you know?
Okay.
And them shits go viral because they're symbolic in the culture. That's why they go viral.
Right, right. But what I'm saying
Just carries ideas.
if you have these things that you want, you have to work on the actual the person, the you.
Yeah, life is about transmuting energies. That's what it is.
Right. Well, once you as the person make yourself more skilled, then you can see, then you can make everything relevant to you. And once you start making more things relevant to you, then you can have any perception at any point in time.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because you're making more than just what you want, more than what you want relevant. Because if you just make what you want relevant, that like they say, you always focus on something and you don't catch nothing. You know what I mean? You focusing on just the one aspect of your whole existence, whatever that could be. You know, who knows? But if you
focus on just one thing, you're not thinking holistically.
Right.
Holistic is a deceptive word because holistic is saying all one, but within that one are various numerous attributes and components.
Right.
That have to, if you're gonna be familiar, that's the whole thing. Like, I didn't really start getting healthy until I started learning how my body actually functioned. Right. Like, what was this? What they call it hunger pains, but what is this really? What is this action in my body that creates what they call quote unquote hunger pains? Oh, it's the movement of this organ and this organ and the friction that's caused by, oh, okay, so that's what that is. So now I can put, an image to that feeling. And now that I know what that feeling is, I'm going to redefine it. I'm going to look up another word that means something else. And I'm going to hack my brain and say from now on that when I feel this feeling that is, I already know to be this, I'm going to call it this. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Right.
And the only way you can change the way you look at things is by actually knowing the value of it and discovering the value of it and reevaluating it. Review it and reevaluate it because it's you, it's for you. Right. And that's important. Evaluation and understanding value.
Okay. So now when we're saying that, then we're also saying, right, if you increase the value of things, then that's a hack, right? If I increase the value of it to myself, then I've increased the relevancy of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once I increase the relevancy of it, now I create the opportunity for better perception just off of me valuing things in different classes.
Right.
You understand?
And the only way you can value something is to know the opposite of it.
There it is.
That way you can perceive it. If you don't know the distance from one point to another point because you can't look and see it, then you just don't know that there's even a distance between the two.
Right.
You have to be able to draw correlations or points. That's why they say the alchemist or the mason, he stands on the square, right? Because you have to correlate different points to draw the proper conclusion. To say, well, it's not this, it's not that. That's why that exercise where if you're in a classroom or whatever, you say, there's a giraffe, but really it's a jacket hanging on a coat rack. Or, there's a snake, but it's a umbrella laying on the floor. All these different descriptions or these different titles that you put onto things, it'll help you change how you're looking at these things and evaluate it for yourself. Establish a value for yourself.
Right. But once I give it value, it could be anything. Like you said, once you said, okay, well, these hunger pains that I'm having, let me just, better health is the end result. Right. But if I just put my attention on high blood pressure, just say I got high blood pressure. Let's just say that. And I say, well, I'm focused on high blood pressure, right? But if I focus on just being healthy in general, right? So I'm placing a value on everything I consume, as opposed to the things that just will cause me to have high blood pressure.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I meet a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people, and people will have diabetes or all these things, and then their main focus would be like, that's too sweet. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, but there's a lot of things that go into you having diabetes. And more than just eating something sweet.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Or somebody say,
when
well,
you
I'm just using that as a light example. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, that's a good example.
Yeah.
That's a good example. When you know what something is, or when you learn what something is, then you can place the proper value on it because now you went through the work of learning what it is, whether that's how to repair an engine or how to spell a word. When you put in the work to learn what it is, then you have revalued that thing for you and you can rename it. Now that you've applied value for it, then you can define it for yourself and you can rename it, whatever it is.
Right.
And you can only know what you're lacking when you're aware of it. So you have to start making yourself aware of the different things as you learn them by calling them what it is for you. And that's how you internalize it. That's how you internalize something. Because when you revalue, then you can rename it, and then you can make the world what it is, what it needs to be for you.
Right. But like you're saying, now once you give it the initial value, what is the initial value for you? You understand? So you have to look at it from, like you're saying, from the standpoint of saying, I'm just saying right now from this conversation, I'm saying health.
Right.
Right. So we're just saying health, because we just used the diabetes example or whatever. But just saying, now, if you looked at your body as I'm sick, right? But then if you looked at your body as this is my suit, my suit of existence. I'm just using that, just making that up. This is my suit of existence. Now, what are all the mechanisms that allow it to function, and not only function, but function correctly? Or for my age, time, and space, how can I get the maximum ability out of this? What the fuck did I just call it? Existence or whatever.
Your body, your vessel.
Yeah, we'll just use vessel. How can I get the most out of this vessel at this point? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Because a lot of times you just talking in general, not even being on some health nut, whatever, but people will be like, well, I don't work out because blah, blah, blah. But it'll be like, well, you
can apply the bird's eye view to that statement right there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So you can say, well, okay, I get it, but aren't you living in your body? Right? Because you're only thinking you're living in your house. Right? You living in your house, right? So, but you're not looking at yourself as you're occupying your body. Right? So your consciousness is occupying your body. So so there are things that make you think better. There are things that make you, feel better. You could walk better. You could talk better. There are things that you can do that can improve all of these things, right? But if you're looking at it from the standpoint of saying, well, I'm just alive and I'm here. So you know what I'm saying? You hear people say those type of things. Well, I don't work out because I ain't trying to be skinny. I ain't trying to be this. I ain't trying to be on no magazine. That's because you put value on the magazine.
And that's a surface level of understanding of how things
value on being skinny. You're not even putting value on you functioning on a day-to-day basis. That's the main goal. Your main goal is to function in this reality at the highest level possible, or at the highest level for you. But you don't have value for your ability to function because you want the things from the reality. You want the money. You want to be famous. You want to be on this. You want to be on this magazine. You want this car. You want that. So instead of you equating it or valuing your ability to function as the thing that will get you the car, your ability to function is the thing that will get you the fame. Your ability to function is the thing that will get you on the magazine, right? But you don't have a value for how you function.
People have a tendency, and this is true in everything. Like we talked about before, you want the easy. People think that the path of least resistance is the easiest path, but that's not the case. The path of least resistance is the path where every step is purposeful. Right. So people have a tendency to do things easier, even when you be working out. When I was doing pull-ups in the beginning, man, them shit was hard. It was hard, and I just did it every day, little by little, little by little, and then eventually they got easier. Right. Now, it might have had something to do with me getting stronger, but I think it also has something to do with the certain muscles I was working. My body started saying, all right, now we're going to need to start engaging these particular muscles to make this exercise easier. And that's just what happens, So yeah, you're getting stronger, but then your body is learning a easier way to operate.
Right.
And that's just how
Right.
people, everybody has a tendency to think that that is the natural way of things. But no, you have to apply resistance in order to maintain certain things to a certain degree. So you can't just always take the easiest way and follow the path of least resistance and say, well, that's not smart to do because that would be hard. No,
Right.
that's the opposite. You thinking about it wrong.
Right.
Because it's hard to do, makes you apply to certain tasks and skills that you're going to need in order to get it done. And that doesn't make it hard. That makes it skillful.
Right. Right.
You know, people would rather have some easy, come by an easy copy of information rather than applying skills or utilizing skills, because skills, think about that word. Skill refers to something small, skills, very pinpoint. You know, this is where you get into the mechanisms of the quantum, small, microscopic, knowing how the ins and outs of it work. And then you can do different applications, because things at their core operate the same.
Right.
Everything has polarities, in, out. It's only going to go certain direction for a certain amount of cycles. It's
Right.
cycles.
Right.
You have biological cycles, you got big cycles, you got small cycles. Cycles are relatable things. Like, everybody goes through a cycle. You know what I mean? You understand cycles. You know, it's Christmas time, you know, it's winter time, you know.
Right.
That's important too, the application of that.
Right.
And understanding how cycles work.
Right. Like you're saying. So you're saying the cycles is relatable, right?
Yeah.
But relatable is making it relevant. We can go back to
Right.
relevant.
Relatable, relevant. Absolutely.
Right.
There it is.
Relatable is making it relevant. So
Yeah, exactly.
becoming a skilled person is the ability to make everything relatable to you.
And a skilled person is constantly in motion.
Right.
A skilled person is constantly moving. He has momentum. Remember, we was talking about earlier about momentum and inertia. A body at rest stays at rest. A body in motion stays in motion.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So that's the key to making things, like you said, making it relevant to you, because once you make it relevant,
you got to have a capacity for comprehension. If you're going to constantly make things relative to you and constantly stay moving, you have to have a capacity for comprehension. What is comprehension? That's what we was talking about earlier about reading and comprehension. Reading is one part of it.
Right.
Not everybody can read, but a lot of people can read. Reading is one part of it.
Reading,
but how you comprehend what you're reading is the other part of that test. It was reading and comprehension. So you and Billy can read the same excerpt, the same paragraph. So we want to know that you can read it, and then we want to know what you think about it. Now, me and Billy gonna write down two different things. Billy gonna talk about, oh, it was a barn, and it was a cow in front of the barn, and then the sun went down, and the farmer put the cow in the barn. And then I might write, the farmer pulled up in his tractor. The tractor was humming loud. He got off the tractor. He was sweating. I might take something different from the story because that was relevant to me.
Right, exactly.
When he talked about the farmer, I thought about myself.
If you read it and
or whatever,
comprehension makes it relevant to you.
And you have to have a constant capacity for comprehension.
The relevancy.
Yes. And you have to have a constant capacity for comprehension. You have to always be interested in the curious and the unknown and defining it for yourself, because that's how you keep the inertia going. Because energy can't be created nor destroyed, only transformed. And if you're not constantly transforming information in different ways, adding to your quantum bag, constantly self-improving, then you're gonna become stagnant.
Right.
You know, we can't be a product of negation. We have to be moving forward in the most positive form, you know?
Right.
And constantly learning new stuff and comprehending what we're learning. How do you comprehend it? How do you even learn? Who, what, when, where, and why? They have to ask those questions. That has to be a mainstay. You know what I'm saying?
So when you're learning and people say, well, learn this, learn this, learn this, learn this, that's what you're doing, right?
Why are you learning it?
But why is what? Relevancy.
Yeah.
If I say, why am I learning this? I'm asking you, why is this relevant?
It's the feeling you get.
Right. How do I make this relevant? That's how you learn. So you say, well, you learning this stuff, you learning that. Yeah, because the more I learn, the more skilled I be, and the things that I want, I can procure. That's
That's epistemology. How do you know what you know? How
right,
do you know what you know? Epistemology. It's the knowledge of knowledge. It's the theory of learning. There's a dude, Mortimer J. Adler, and he wrote that book, How to Think About the Great Ideas. And
right,
this book it was interesting because it talked about the idea before it becomes an actual action or what it is, the idea of love, the idea of choice, the idea of money. And when I read that book, it just gave me a different perspective. It showed me how to properly put in its place what these things are. So it changed the value of money for me. It made me reevaluate what I thought money was.
right,
It made me
right,
reevaluate a lot of these approaches to these ideas. And if I didn't have that in my bag, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be able to leverage these lessons.
right, right, right. But
That's what we're doing.
well, that's what I was about to say. What makes it all so correct is no matter how you're saying it, it's all about relevance. You see what I'm saying? It's all about how you made it relevant to you at that moment. And that altered your perspective. That
Yeah, you
altered
have to
your perception.
leverage that.
Right, right,
We use leverage all the time. We use leverage financially. We
right,
use leverage mentally.
right. Looking, when you say using it financially, right?
Mm-hmm.
People use money against themselves. They don't use it as a tool. It should be a hammer. It should be, you get what I'm saying? It should be something that
Exactly.
you use to improve your surroundings. But a lot of us use it to entrap ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because we have two different perceptions of what it is. What is relevant to me? Is the life relevant to me, or are the things in life relevant to me?
Right.
You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I say, like I say from time to time, people be talking about this and that and the third, and they be like, "Oh, this, that." I say, "Man, I don't fight crime. I fight poverty."
Hey, you an idiom factory, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I don't fight crime. I fight poverty. You get what I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
saying? So it's not. I'm not here to do all of this other. I'm the things that put you in poverty is what you should be trying to get. You should be trying to know. If you just say it's money that's putting you in poverty, then you could maybe never get out of it. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at all the symptoms of poverty, you can remove it with very little to no money. You can change it with actions.
Yeah.
You
But
see
see,
what I'm
people get
saying?
caught up in thoughts. People get caught up in their thoughts being actions.
Right, right,
You
right,
get real. That's disillusion. When you
right,
think your thoughts are actual actions, your thoughts ain't actions. Yeah, anybody can create some ideas and anybody can say anything philosophically, and you'd be like, oh, that's real philosophical. Where'd you learn that at, or whatever?
right,
But it
right,
means nothing. It means nothing if you can't apply it
right,
efficiently and effectively. That's
right,
like saying that's like what's that dude from Detroit? Detroit Urban Survival Protection. Yeah, and he's trying to teach people all these moves, but that's all theoretical, man. That has no real world application. You're gonna get your ass beat, shot, whatever,
right,
trying
right,
to do something that ain't been applied.
right. Like you said, so when somebody convolute thoughts and actions, right,
Mm-hmm.
they could never get in motion because the thought is the potential energy.
Right. They don't
The
realize that
action
those are
is
two actual
right.
opposites.
The actual kinetic energy is the thought in motion.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's your action. Your action is your thought in motion. Like we go back to your conviction. Convictions, actions, these are your thoughts in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is what you set out to do, to achieve,
Right.
to to perceive. So like we say, this is relevancy and perception, right?
Right.
Relevancy and perception and how we put those two together.
Yeah. Perception, the process of being aware of something,
Right, right, right.
awareness of the elements. Yeah.
So like we always do at this time, hey, stand by your word.
Always on time.
Right on.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.